to see me. Hold on. Hey Google. Hey Google. Hey Google. Pause music. Sorry, I had to pause the music. Let me drink a little bit of my electrolyte. Okay, so today is day 9 of coronavirus. I know I said I was gonna post a video yesterday, but you see what happened was I was like literally sleeping on and off for the most part yesterday. I slept into like 12. I wasn't feeling good at all. So like Wednesday, day 7, when I posted the video, as the night went on, I like started to feel like shit. I had this pounding headache. I filmed around like 1. So yeah, like 48 hours ago, because it's almost 2 right now. And then around like 3, I started getting this pounding headache, took more Tylenol, it wouldn't go away, and I had this like sharp pain, like throbbing pain behind this eye, and my legs kept tingling, my like legs and like my feet were turning different colors. I was so itchy, and I just like didn't feel good at all. Right, I'll get into more of that later. But then yesterday I woke up with this same fucking headache. Like my legs were like weak, still tingly. And as the day went on yesterday, I did start to feel better. So God bless for that. Today I woke up just a little bit achy, still really itchy. Let's see if you can get a better look of my rashes in my armpit. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Let me see this one. I don't know. No, if my ring light worked, you could see it, but no, I have this mini ring light. Maybe too late. Oh, hold on, I got a back cramp. I'm not supposed to turn my spine like that, especially because bulging discs, but it's all right. Yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna film today, feel better, cool. So Wednesday night, I'm like reading all these things, right? So like I had already like on a hunch was like, I wonder if like me being itchy and these rashes are COVID, and it is, you know, they have like a bunch of different rashes that are associated with the disease. I mean the virus, it's not a disease, it's a fucking virus. And then like when my eyes were itching so bad, like so bad, you know, I looked that up too, and sure as shit, viral pink eye, you can get it from COVID. And I mean, when your body has any virus, you can get like viral pink eye. Like a lot of people who have the flu and stuff get it, but like as a kid, I was fucking prone to having bacterial pink eye. Like when me and my dad were on the phone talking about this the other day, I like brought up pink eye, and he was like, oh my God, because I used to have it all the time, like in high school. I mean, I skipped school all the time in high school, but I can't tell you how many times I had pink eye in high school. Like, that's crazy, right? And no, it wasn't because people were farting on my pillow. But, so, with all of these things that, like, are happening to my body because of COVID that didn't happen the first time, you know, I'm researching all these things, and there's so much more to this virus than people realize. Like, it's not a respiratory infection. It's a whole body attack. This virus attacks your whole fucking body. Like, so, you know, they're coming out with like the long-term effects, and it's like liver, kidney, like GI tracts issues. And so I'm reading all these things, and it's like in other countries, one of their testing methods to find COVID is like poop samples or through your GI tract, up your ass. Okay, I shouldn't talk like that. Up your butthole, okay? And for some reason, it is detectable in your butt and your stool before it's detectable in your nose or whatever, which is why a lot of people have diarrhea and nausea and vomiting within the first few days of the infection. So, I'm reading all these things, and like, I don't have COVID toes, but I have discoloration in my feet. And so I'm sitting here kind of freaking out, right? And so like I'm talking to my sister, she's like, well, maybe if everything doesn't get better tomorrow, you go to the emergency room. And I'm sitting, I hate hospitals, okay? Like, I hate hospitals for so many reasons. One, it's just depressing, you know? Like, people are in there and people are like dying. Like, I'm an empath and I feel things way too fucking much. And all my fellow empaths know what I mean. You know, like, I don't like to watch the news, and I've always been like this. I don't like to watch the news because it's always sad, depressing stuff, and it makes, like, sometimes it makes me cry. Like, I'm serious. Like, I started watching the news a little bit, like, when this whole COVID thing started happening back in March, only so I was, like, educated on what the fuck was going on in the world. But I hate watching the news. And hospitals just bring me back memories of my mother and my cousin, and, you know, it's kind of like, I don't want flashbacks of things. I don't want to be thinking about things that, like, I don't need to be thinking about because I'm in a hospital. Mind you, I'm in California. I don't really know anybody here. Like, yeah, Austin, my sister, and my brother-in-law are here, but, like, if I'm in the hospital because of COVID, they can't come see me. So I'm reading up all these things, and I probably gave myself a fucking anxiety attack, okay? It's probably one of my, like, top 10 worst to date anxiety attacks. Like, when I first started having anxiety attacks when I was, like, a freshman in high school, like, my mom would have to take me to the emergency room because they were so bad. And I remember my freshman year of high school, my psychiatrist, like, doctor ordered me that I only had half days of school because my anxiety was so bad. So, like, we had to switch my schedule around, so I'd go to my first 3 hours, and, like, we had to switch my schedule to, like, the most important in class learning was my first 3 hours, and then I'd have a teacher come to my house twice a week to help me with other homework, with other subjects. So I'm, like, reading everything. I'm, like, crying, bawling my eyes out here by myself. It's, like, 11 p.m. I call my sister twice. She's already asleep. I call my dad, like, 3 times. He's in Michigan, so it's, like, 2 a.m. there. He's not answering, and I'm, like, anybody else that I would, like, call right now is in Michigan, probably fucking asleep because it's a Wednesday at 3 a.m. So I'm, like, pacing around my house crying, and I'm, like, I'm so scared. I'm, like, crying. I want my mommy. You know, and I always want my mom, but, like, it was, I put myself through such a traumatic episode that I probably didn't need to. So, you know, I'm trying to call hospitals, like, asking them for advice. None of these ER rooms or, like, hospitals in this area are fucking answering their phones. I tried, like, 3 or 4 and just kept ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and fucking ringing. And so then I just, like, call 911 because I'm like, okay, I need to know if I need to go to the hospital, because at this point I'm scared that, like, what if I am getting blood clots? By the way, a lot of people who die from COVID die because of blood clots in their legs and everything, and it can, like, go up to your brain, and people are having strokes. Like, people my age who are, like, I'm healthy as fuck, 22 years old, like, are having strokes because of this virus and dying, essentially. And a lot of the people who are, like, getting these symptoms and stuff are the people who are at home isolating because they're not high risk, right? And then doctors are saying something called happy hypoxia, or I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's, like, when your oxygen count in your blood is so low, but, like, how you're communicating and how you're moving and everything is normal, that the doctors are like, how is this possible? Because you barely have any oxygen flowing in your blood. So I call 911. They send somebody, you know, like, I am, like, having short breath, and in my head, I don't know if I'm having an anxiety attack or if this is, like, a COVID thing, because all this can happen so fast. Like, you can, like, COVID, you can be fine, and then all these other symptoms can pop up, and you can't breathe, and you can't move, and all this shit. So I'm, like, freaking out. So she sends an ambulance. So I'm in West Hollywood, right? It's almost midnight. This lot has, like, a house in front, and it's, like, I think it's 2 separate Airbnbs, and then there's my house. And then there's a house in the back with an Airbnb, and it's gated in. So there's like a code to get in the first gate, and then the like code to get in my door, obviously. So they're like, ambulance is on the way, put on a mask, da-da-da, they're gonna check you out. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what do I do with the cats? I make sure the cats have food and water. I can barely walk. I'm dizzy. I'm like trying to breathe. I feel like I can't, like when I was on the phone with the 911 operator and when I was talking to the paramedics, like I couldn't talk full sentences completely like right now. Like it was like taking me a while because I was freaking out so fucking bad. And so, you know, like my skin is blotchy. Like my feet look like they're bruised. Like even right now, like still they're like a grayish, purplish, bluish, musty tint. I don't know how to explain it. And so I hear like the trucks. So, you know, I grab my purse, you know, because it has my ID and everything. I have my phone charger because, you know, I'm about, in my head, I'm like, I'm probably going to the hospital and need to have my fucking phone charged so my family can get a hold of me. And I go out there. There's like 4 or 5 fucking like fire trucks and like fire paramedic trucks. And there's like 7 people, like from the, like 7 paramedics. And one of them is like full, like rain ponchoed up, mask, gloves. And he's like, they're knocking on the door, the front door of like the first house. And they're like, oh, it's you. And I'm like, yeah. So I sit down and tell them what's going on. They look at my rashes. And sorry, I'm heading into the door because she's like underneath. I'm just gonna show you guys. Like, what are you doing? Okay, anyway. Fuck. He like takes my vitals, puts my finger in the pulse thingy, you know, that can tell the oxygen in my blood. Okay, he listens to my lungs and everything. And he tells me, he's like, okay, have you ever had anxiety? I'm like, yeah, I didn't know if this was an anxiety attack or because of COVID. He's like, well, you, like, your breathing and everything is probably, like, your anxiety. But he was like, we're going to leave it up. I'm leaving it up to you if you want to go to the hospital or not because you're not bad enough that we need to take you in right away, but you're not good enough that we can rule it out. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the hospital if you're telling me I don't want to. You know, and I apologize. I feel like an idiot. He's like, no, listen, like, it's a good thing you called, whether or not, like, your, like, breathing was, like, anxiety triggered or whatever it was. He was like, this is what we're here for. But if anything gets the slightest bit worse, even a little bit, the rashes, if it, like, goes, if you get rashes at different parts of your body, if this rash spreads, if the tingling continues, if your legs and feet get more discolored, call right away. I'm like, okay, cool. So, you know, I come in the house and, you know, I'm kind of relieved, you know, I like sit, try to calm myself down, you know, I pray, I always pray, we all know that. And I posted this status and I like told everybody what was going on because Monday, Tuesday, majority of Wednesday, I felt great, like my taste and smell came back a little bit. You know, I was a little achy sometimes, but like whatever. And then like these rashes show up, you know, like my eyes are itchy. You know, I'm waking up and like they're crusty and stuff. And I posted a status and, you know, I'm telling everybody like my symptoms. And like all I have to say is stay the fuck home and wear your fucking mask because like I am so blessed that I am not in the hospital on a ventilator and all that shit, and that like I was healthy enough to where I wasn't like, I literally physically cannot move out of bed and take care of myself. But what I have experienced the last week, I'm 22 years old and healthy as fuck. Like I should not be experiencing any of this. Like these skin manifestations, like the pink eye, like the headache, like, and I'm alone. I'm scared. I'm so scared. It's so scary. And like I have friends back home who had it and they had to get tested because of work because somebody else tested positive, and they were asymptomatic the whole time. And if you do enough research, there's so many other like early telltale signs, like eyes watering. Like, how about I tell you, like, the 3 days before I got tested, like going into work and at work, my eyes were watering. And I was like, my eyes never water. Why are they watering? And that's an early telltale sign. Like sore throat. There's so many things. Like my work told me, they were like, well, we're like watching everybody who was training you, you know, we're monitoring them and they're fine. They're not showing any signs. Because every day we come into work, we have to get our temperature taken. I never had a fever during any of this at all. Okay, and if you read, it says a lot of people don't have fevers. A lot of people don't have shortness of breath. They're starting to realize this is a full blown out fucking body attack. It's not just your lungs. And you know what's scary? Like, people my age are dying because they're having blood clots and strokes. And the scariest part about it is like the people who, they say like people with severe cases get A, B, C, and D, but that's because people who have severe cases are in the hospital, so they're able to track those things. And a lot of the people who are getting this are the people who are like me, isolated at home. And like I understand, like people are like, oh, it kills only like a little amount in the pop. I get it. It only kills like whatever, less than 1% of the population, and we shouldn't be shutting this down and this or whatever. But like coming from somebody who was distraught over the fact that she couldn't work and then found a job and now is off of work because I have to isolate for 2 weeks, and I'm like having all these like it's just it sucks. And like, how would I tell you that my biggest stressors of this are life things, like me being in this Airbnb and having to come up with the money to pay for it because I'm not working right now. And there's so many other issues going on in my life because of me getting sick. Just stay home. Like, and you know, like, I went to house parties since I moved to LA. Like back home in Michigan, like, yeah, I was hanging out with friends here and there, and I was working what I could and this, that, and the other, but this is real. It's fucking real. And we don't have enough information or data on this fucking disease to be fucking off our government and saying, like, on a not a national level, a local level and state level, and like not abiding by like what's put in place for us. Because I'm telling you right now that I'd rather have things shut down than have to deal with what I'm dealing with. And I understand economy and people have to feed themselves and take care of themselves and this, that, and the other. But there's so many other things to figure it out. And like, there's only one you, okay? Like, I've cheated death so many times, and I was like, there's no way in fucking hell that this COVID is taking me out, all right? Ever. And like, I get it, but like, you don't want to deal with what I'm going through and what people in the hospital are going through. And it's just like, you can be asymptomatic and have no symptoms and be spreading it to other people who are high risk or are around high risk people. And then, then what? Then what? I don't know. All I know is stay home, wear your masks. Yeah, that's what I got today, guys. Share this video, subscribe, comment, like, all that shit. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow, for real.